Good evening. This is BelGeode, and we are back with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I sincerely hope you enjoy the little music video that I put up last week as a preview for the Orbx Edgeley Optica. Now, tonight's video is not going to be about the Orbx Edgeley Optica. Instead, I'm going to be doing one that's pretty much been long overdue. I want to show off what, to me, is one of the oldest aircraft in my hangar, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. As far as the Optica, we'll get into the full video for that at a later date. But tonight, what I'm going to be showing you is IndiaFoxtEcho's Boeing T-45C Goshawk. Now, IndiaFoxtEcho is, of course, Dino Cattaneo. And this aircraft is probably one of the longest running aircraft that originally started as freeware way back in FSX. In fact, it was the second aircraft that I ever got for FSX. The first, of course, being Dino's F-14 Tomcat. So yes, this one's been in my hangar forever, and I'm really glad that he finally brought it over to Microsoft Flight Simulator. So there it is in the lineup there with all the other various aircraft that I have. You can see all the quick facts on it. Cruise speed 395 knots, max altitude 45,000 feet, endurance 3 hours, range 950 nautical miles. Perfect for zipping around scenery if you want to be in something that's a fighter jet, but not quite a fighter jet. Doesn't have the combat capabilities or anything like that. It is a joy to fly, as I am sure you will find out once we get in the cockpit. So Dino has given you a whole bunch of liveries that you can pick from, and we'll take a quick look at them there, representing a lot of the training squadrons that are currently in service with the United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps. Look at that. All kinds of good stuff here. Now, the livery that we are going to be rocking today is the Tigers livery. And I'm going to explain the reason why I selected that one is because of the nose. You'll notice it has the nose number 109. Now, that is also the same number that I have on Dino's Tomcat, as well as the F-14 Tomcat that I currently fly around in DCS World. So that's probably why that looks a little bit familiar to you. So yes, Tiger 109 is going to be our call sign for today. Now, we'll quickly look at the weights and balance. Pretty standard fare, not much we need to explain there. You add your percentage right there, and you can determine just how much fuel you want to have on board. You can see we've got weights for pilot and instructor pilot in the back seat. If you want to activate whatever models are on the centerline pylon and the port and starboard, which really isn't that much, it's just like the bomb racks and so on, you can add the weights to that. I would highly recommend you consult Dino's manual to figure out how much pounds you need to add in there for them to show up. And then, of course, on the right side, we've got the center of gravity. Make sure that you set this before you hop in the cockpit. You probably want to keep it around there so that it's right in the center. You can set it while inside the cockpit. It's just a bit of a pain in the butt to do that. So definitely take care of that from here. And, of course, as I explained earlier, we're flying Tiger 109, so pretty good there. All right. And for our weather conditions today, I have set us up with scattered clouds, and you can see that it also tells you where exactly it is that we're going. And actually, you know what? I'm going to set the time to the morning. I don't often do morning flights, so we're going to change that around today. All right, so let's zoom into Mother Earth and check out our flight plan here. We're going back to the scene of the crime. One of my favorite stomping grounds, one of my absolute favorite places to visit in Florida, and that is the Florida Keys, in particular, Key West. So we're going to start out here at Key West Naval Air Station on Boca Chica Key. And the reason why I've chosen this one, aside from the fact that I've got an airport add-on to show you, it has traditionally been the airport that I have used to test out new airplanes in FSX, even in FS9, back when I had FS9, and of course also in P3D and X-Plane. You've probably seen this airbase more than any other airport on this channel if you are a very long-time viewer. So I want to show you how they were able to put it together for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we're going to be taking off from Boca Chica. We're going to head west a little bit and check out Key West proper, because the airport that I'm running here is actually Orbx's new Key West International. So I kind of want to show that to you, but I'm thinking we're probably just going to buzz it. And then we're going to head east. We're going to go up the Florida Keys until we get to my second favorite island in the Keys, which is, of course, Marathon. I've got another add-on airport to show you, the pop-ups to explain who makes what airport and whether it's payware or freeware. Those will all be popping up right now, and of course they will be in the video description below. So we'll go ahead and buzz Marathon, and then we'll continue following the Florida Keys north until we get to Key Largo. We're going to pass a couple of default airports, Tavanero Park, as well as Ocean Reef Club. And finally, we're going to make our way to our final destination, Homestead Air Reserve Base. And once we get in the plane and close to that location, I will explain to you why I chose that airbase as our final destination. All right, so we have an idea of where we're going. We have an idea of what our chariot is going to be, and we are fueled up and ready to go. So what say we hop into the cockpit of the Goshawk and get her started. All right, so here we are back at the scene of the crime. And I call it that because this particular airbase has a very special place in my heart, considering the fact that I have never been there in real life. So, Naval Air Station Key West on Boca Chica Key. This particular add-on is one that I have had for years in different incarnations. So I first got it for FSX as payware, and I then had to buy it for P3D, also as payware, and now here we are again in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And it's pretty much exactly the same. There have been, slight variations over the years. Like you may have noticed in our little establishing shot, the Hornets and the F5s over there, all of that stuff is new to the Microsoft Flight Simulator version. But like those two officers saluting each other there, they've been there pretty much since the get-go. So yeah, I really, really love this airbase. And this used to be like my default place to test new aircraft that I got for the flight sim. Speaking of which, so it's been a long time coming. I've been meaning to show this bird to you for a while. This is, of course, IndiaFoxtEcho's T-45 Goshawk. I don't know what else to say about this one. This is an oldie but a goodie too. I had this one. This was probably like the second aircraft that I ever got for Microsoft Flight Simulator X, or FSX. And obviously, it has had a huge rework over the years. The original was freeware, and as you can see right now, this version, the Payware one, is definitely ready for prime time. And from my understanding, Dino even had help from Milviz when it came to putting this puppy together. So thank you, Milviz, for lending a hand to Dino to bring an all-time favorite back to the flight sim. All right, so as I explained on our intro portion, we are going to be flying to Homestead Air Force Base. So pretty much that means we're going to be following all of the Florida Keys up until we get to the Florida mainland. But we'll also swing by Key West, which is off in that direction, because I want to kind of give you just a brief overview of the new Orbx Key West that I also picked up. So, as always, the links to everything that I'm using will be in the video description below, and I will point out what is add-on scenery, such as this and Key West and Marathon, as well as what is default, which will pretty much be everything else. All right, but of course, nothing's going to happen until we actually get this aircraft started and head out on our way. So, first things first, we need to get these remove before flights out of the way. So the first one we'll grab is right there. And the second one is going to be on this right there. Okay. Now, you may have noticed as I was going around doing my walk around that there were covers over the intakes and covers over the exhaust, as well as the remove before flight on a pitot tube. All of that will disappear the moment I turn on the battery switch. So there we go. And you can already hear Betty.
Power.
All right, we'll go ahead and turn you off, Betty. Why not? Okay, so let's take a quick look and make sure that we've got all the lights on that we should have on. So oxygen, oil pressure, generator, hydraulic failure, canopy, hydraulic, everything's on. Okay, good deal, good deal. All right, let's start getting some stuff up and running here. First thing we want is our ICS. That's our intercom system so that we can connect to the person in the back seat, which oftentimes is your trainer. But I guess could also be, you know, just like a friend that you're flying around with for the purposes of the flight sim anyway. All right, so we have that on. Let's go ahead and get the rest of our radios on while we're at it here. So we'll get the nav radio on. We'll get a TACAN. And we will also get this on. So there we go. That should be popping up any moment. That's our main comms. And we'll also get our transponder going. We'll set that up. So we want 1200. We can also get our instrument lights on, as well as our nav and anti-collision lights. Oh, come on. There we go. I don't know why it was misbehaving there. Okay, so to start this aircraft, it is really going to be an easy process. All we will need to do is basically just go through and set up. Actually, hold on. Let me get my radio to the correct setting. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So all we need to do is basically turn on the GTS, which is basically your APU. So once you have that on, you let that spool up, and then you can set your master ignition switch on, which is back here, and then we'll do our engine start. Now, we'll probably also need fuel, so we'll go ahead and turn that on. Make sure the throttle is completely in idle, and we will begin by pushing the APU switch. All right, so you can hear the APU is coming online now. Very good. APU sounds to be ready. So let's go ahead and get our master ignition switch on. We'll go for an engine start. We're going to watch this gauge over here. Once it gets to about 17% RPM, we will put our throttle into idle, and you will hear an audible click as my Virpil switches over. right there. And there it is. Engine is coming online right now. And that's pretty much it. That's all we need to do to get it started. So obviously we're going to need to do some other stuff, you know, such as get our DDIs on and of course close the canopy. So let's go ahead and do that right now. There we go. Canopy is now closed. And let's just make sure that all the requisite lights are off. Okay, there we go. We are at 60. So we'll want to idle at about 70. So we'll slowly push the throttle up. And we definitely don't want to get, you know, too hot as far as the temperature goes. So we'll kind of keep it right around 70 there. That should be fine. And now we can start getting all of the other stuff up and running here. So let's get our HUD going, because there is something I want to explain a little bit when it comes to the HUD. So you're going to notice on this HUD here that it's not exactly clear. There's a reason for that. There is a very good reason for that. Unfortunately, because of the way that HUDs are set up in Microsoft Flight Simulator, we have an issue where, depending on the type of anti-aliasing that you are using, will determine just how visible this HUD is. Now, I always use TAA in my settings, and the reason why I do that is because in VR it makes everything pretty much crystal clear. You can use DLAA, and they actually would recommend that you use DLAA if you want to see the HUD a little bit clearer. But since we also have the DDIs here, which I will now turn on, we really don't need to worry too much about the HUD, because all the information that we're looking for is here, even though, of course, the HUD is designed to keep your head out of the cockpit. All right, let's see what we've got going on here. So we need our hydraulics reset. So that is going to be this switch over here. And that light should have extinguished. Yep, looks like it did. All right, so we have controls, augmentation, and anti-skid that need to be turned on. So we'll get our anti-skid on there. Our controls augmentation, we're going to set to all. And if we go all the way back here, we're going to set up our oxygen and anti-G switch. So there we go. We've got oxygen flow. You know, just in case we go over 10,000 feet. All right, the parking brake is still on, which explains why we still have a caution and warning light going there. But you will also notice the green lights that will indicate the nose wheel steering and the anti-skid. So both of those are pretty much set. And actually, let me go ahead and turn on our landing lights really quick. There we go. Make sure our flaps are up all the way. They appear to be. All right. And let's check the DDI just to make sure that we have everything set up here. So let me see. We'll set up CDI. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me do it this way. We'll set up waypoint 1. Let's see. Waypoint 0 should be exactly where we are right now. Yeah, that appears to be correct. So we'll set it to waypoint 1. Which is Marathon Airport, 81 degrees. Okay, so we can actually set our course to that. So we'll go CRS 081 and then enter. So there you can see everything is now set to that. Now I'll set this to auto. You can set it to sequence as well, but some features are limited in this, and that is basically a sim limitation. That is not necessarily, you know, anything that I would consider as the fault of this particular developer. All right, heading bug, we should probably set that as well, but before I set that, I'm going to need to know what runway we're taking off from. So let's go ahead and contact ground Navy key ground. And let's see, we're going to tell them that we are departing to the east.
Navy key ground, Tiger 109er, ready to taxi east departure. Tiger 109er, taxi to and hold short of runway 8.
Runway 8,
Contact
got it.
tower on 118.575 when ready. Taxi to and hold short runway 8, Tiger 109er.
Okay, so runway 8 is going to be off in that direction, which means we are going to be passing the Hornets and the F-5Es. So that is going to be pretty cool. You'll get another look at those guys. All right, let's go ahead and get our parking brake off. So that way our caution and warning light will disappear. And we will want to arm our ejection seat just in case. So there we go. We are pretty much set to go. The only other thing that I do want to do here is set our low altitude warning. You'll see it's currently set to 400. So we'll change that to 200. That'll allow us to go low and do some shenanigans here. All right, I'm also going to set this to GPS because we may be able to use the navigation hold on the autopilot in order to set that up. All right, heading. We'll set you for 080, enter. That'll be our runway heading. Okay. So everything looks good, and we are just about ready to taxi out. So let's go to the outside view. We'll do our traditional controls wipeout, and then we'll get moving. Okay, so we're going to need to cross our first runway here, which should be runway 14. And then we're going to head down that taxiway there, past those fuel trucks, and of course, past the other aircraft over on a combat side. I like parking over this side because, honestly, I like being close to the control tower. I think it's just probably the coolest portion of this little airbase here. And what we're passing right there is actually used to practice your carrier landing. So that little orange machine that you see there that's got the lights on it, that is basically a ground-based IFLOS system. And of course, the markings and lights exist on the runways themselves to help you pretty much imagine what the size of a carrier's landing area should be so that you know where exactly it is you're going to be aiming when you try to put her down on the deck. So pretty nifty stuff. I don't know how many air bases actually have stuff like that, but this place has it, and I want to say Pensacola probably also has it, but I'll have to check my facts on that later. So here we go. We are coming up on Hornets, and I'm going to put it to the outside view really quick here so that we can check them out as we go past. Okay, we were going a little bit fast there around that turn. Whew. That actually brings to mind something important that I should mention. You'll notice, as I stated earlier, the nose wheel steering light is on. With this aircraft, it's automatic. Once you get over 20 knots in forward speed, the nose wheel steering disengages completely, so you're stuck going straight. So make sure when you're taxiing this thing that you keep it below 20 knots. All right, I don't see any traffic coming in, and there's obviously no traffic going out, so let's go ahead and call the tower really quick and let them know that we are going to be taking off. Navy Key Tower, takeoff clearance.
Navy Key Tower Tiger 109er ready at runway 8 east departure.
Tiger 109er altimeter 29er.9er 21069er and 17.
Ooh.
Departure to the east approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 8.
A little windy here today. Wow.
Cleared for takeoff runway 8 Tiger 109er.
All right, so we are pretty much set to go. Let me just do a final check here. So we're going to need our transponder on, which we can do just by flicking that there. So it is now currently in the on position. We will also go ahead and get our pitot heat on. So there we go. Pitot heat is now on. And I want to say that is everything that we need to set up here. So we should be good to go. Yeah, everything looks good. Flaps in takeoff position. Let's set our trim up a little bit here, because this thing does like to get nose heavy. So we'll set our trim to right there. All right, and let's go ahead and take the active. After we take off, I will switch us to the underbelly view, and that way we can pull the gear up. One final check for traffic. Not that I'm expecting any. I've deliberately set the traffic to basically the bare minimum. So hopefully we won't be seeing any players or any real-world AI coming in. All right, but here we are, runway 8. We're looking good to go. All right, so here we go. Brakes down. And throttles up. 85% throttle. And full throttle, brakes off. And she already wants to swing out to the left. Whoo! That's that 17-knot wind that we're talking about there. All right, so our rotate speed is going to be around 135. So right about here. And we're up, outside view.
Tiger 109er continue for east departure. Tiger 109er leaving my airspace, frequency change approved.
All right, let's let them be aware that we heard them.
Navy Key Tower Tiger 109er frequency change.
Okay, so before we get into contacting the tower here, let's take one good look at Boca Chica, and then we'll also go buzz Key West while we're at it. Such a beautiful area. Definitely one of my favorite areas to visit in the United States. So there's our air base right there. As you can see, they've got the asterisk-shaped runways. So there's actually 3 runways, 6 if you count both directions. Always love the layout of this base. It's so cool. So we're going to head over to Key West proper. You'll notice that beacon light flashing there. That is Orbx's Key West International Airport. I actually had a different add-on for that previously, but I actually took it out because, well, I kind of like the Orbx version better. Aside from which, Orbx adds those extra little touches in there that really makes it feel like the Key West that I know and love. But we'll say goodbye to Boca Chica for right now, and we are going to go buzz the airport. So let's go back to the outside view, and we'll check out Orbx's handiwork really quickly. And one of the things that's unfortunately missing from Microsoft's version of Key West is the southernmost point. We just passed it there, and we should have been able to see it, but unfortunately, it's not there. So hopefully that'll be something that they will add in at a future date. I do like that they got the little cruise ship there. However, it looks like they kind of missed the boat on those ghost ships hanging out in front of Mallory Square there. And for those of you who don't know, that bricked area there, Mallory Square, every night in Key West, you watch the sunset from that location. And there's always like musicians playing and plenty of food to have and drinks. And of course, lots of people, all there for the same purpose, just to watch the sunset. It's one of those cool things about the Florida Keys that I've always enjoyed. It's just a whole different mindset down here. All right, but so long, Key West. One day, I hope I can actually see you again in real life, but for now, this will have to do. Certainly do miss coming down here. All right, let's see if we can gain a little bit of altitude here. We'll go over the clouds and bring her up to probably about 8,000-ish. And then once we're stable up there, we will contact the nearest ATC and make sure that they give us some flight following. I've avoided actually contacting them because, of course, they tend to talk a lot. Kind of like me. So one of the keys that we're going to be passing just after we get past Boca Chica is a key known as Summerland Key. If you ever want to go skydiving, Summerland Key is a great place to do that. There's a little airport there. I'll swing out to the right here and I'll see if I can spot the airport. We're at 8,000 right now anyway. I know it's down below there somewhere. I want to say this might be it coming up. But that little airport is key to doing any kind of skydiving. Skydive Miami, I think it is, that's based out of there. So you can hop on a plane, go above the Keys, and basically jump out of a perfectly good aircraft. That is if you're into that sort of thing. Still looking for it, but you know what? I think we may have passed it because of the fact that the clouds are underneath us. Could be wrong, but almost certain it's back down that way. All right, well, we're not going to continue searching for it. We can always go to the outside view and check it out later. But for now, since we are just about at 8,000 feet, I want to set us up on course here and get our autopilot on. So that way we can really go outside and do some fun stuff. All right about there is where we're looking for. So we'll get main autopilot on. And our altitude hold on. Right around 8,000, that's good. Set up our heading bug and our nav. So there we go. We should be going directly to Marathon Key, which is, of course, our next destination. All right, let's head back to the outside view, and then when we come back in, we'll talk to the tower. Okay, so we are just about on course to Marathon Key. As you can see, we've got just about 15 miles to go until we get there. 7 of those miles are going to be taken up by the 7-mile bridge, which is directly ahead of us. We're kind of high up, so we really can't see it all that well. But we're going to take the autopilot off in a moment, and we'll hop down there and do some shenanigans. All right, so autopilot. We're just going to turn you all the way off. There we go. And we'll push the throttle to idle and begin our shenanigans. So there you go. Right there is Bahia Honda Key. And that is the start of the 7-mile bridge. If you have a fear of bridges, you definitely don't want to go across this one. It is literally 7 miles long. And of course, it does have some amount of notoriety to it. It was made famous, I guess you would say, from several movies, actually. One of which being James Bond's License to Kill. And I want to say the other one was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I think it was probably True Lies, whichever one it was that had the Harrier in it. I want to say that is the movie that had the 7-mile bridge in there. But yeah, pretty much a marvel of construction, and it's really not in very deep water, but it's kind of cool. I like driving over it anyway. I don't know how you feel about it. All right, let's see. We are going to swing by Pigeon Key here, which is just off to the left. A really cool place to go fishing. There is another bridge that leads from Pigeon Key to Marathon Key directly ahead. I don't believe that bridge is currently modeled, however. But that's pretty much where you want to go fishing from, and it is an awesome time. So there you can see that right there. And we're coming up to a place that I always have to mention every time I do a video on the Florida Keys. So you see that little building just to the right of the 7-mile bridge. That is my favorite restaurant down here. That is the Sunset Grill with this little pool in the back. Highly, highly recommended. If you love seafood and so on, that is the place to eat down here. So if you do go down there, tell them BelGeode sent you and they'll go, huh? All right, let's go back to the underside view and let's do some shenanigans over by Marathon Airport. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of shenanigans around Marathon. Marathon is probably my second favorite island in the Florida Keys. So many gorgeous places to visit. I extremely enjoy kayaking down here too, because there's just so many little hole-in-the-wall areas that you can pull a kayak through, and it's very scenic. It's very relaxing too. All right, so we'll continue making our way north, or actually, I guess that's more east. Let's see. So we are heading to Foxtrot Alpha 81. That is our next airport, and we want to be more in this direction here. We're going to stay on the deck, and I know I said I was going to contact the ATC, but we'll kind of hold off until we get a little bit closer there. All right, but let's get our autopilot back on. Okay, there we go. And we'll bring it up to, let's see, about 6,000 roughly. I think that should be fine. All right, so once again, we will get our heading bug on. And we also have our nav hold on. Now we can actually check to make sure that we are on the GPS line. As you can see, we are not. We're slightly to the right of it, so the aircraft is currently adjusting itself to get us there. Meanwhile, I'm going to scan the clouds to figure out how much space I've got in between this level and the other level of clouds. We may need to go a little bit higher than 5,000, so let's see. I know they say if you're heading east, you should be at an odd numbered altitude, so 5,000 would be good, provided we'll clear those clouds there. You know what? We're going to go for it. We are going to go for it. So right about there. And we'll hold it there. Okay, so another cool little key that we're coming up on, this is Lower Matecumbe Key, and part of the reason why I mentioned Lower Matecumbe Key, there is a little beach known as Anne's Beach that is one of my favorite places to visit because, well, it's a little hole-in-the-wall beach. Not very many people go there, even though it has been expanded over the years, and there's now like a nature walk and so on and so forth. But one of the things that I really enjoy about Anne's Beach is going crabbing. So you can actually wade out into the water, and it'll be like about 1,000 feet thereabouts, and you're still in only knee-deep water. And they've got what I call little avenues where the crabs will actually live in the seagrasses on either side of those sand avenues under the water. And if you take your crab net, you can, disturb the grass a little bit. The crabs will get moving across a little underwater walkway there, and you snag them with your net. Bring them back to the shore, and all of a sudden you can have a crab boil. Really awesome stuff. I used to love taking my kids down there when they were little, and that's what we would do. We'd go fishing and crabbing on Anne's Beach in Lower Matecumbe Key. It's pretty awesome stuff. And then, of course, we're approaching Upper Matecumbe, the matching key. So there we go. And believe it or not, we're almost to our destination. So we have about 10 miles to go, thereabouts. And we're cruising at about 335 knots. So we're really making good time here. This is actually going a lot shorter than I imagined. The only thing I'm not too impressed with is the fact that we're still going through clouds here, which is kind of putting a damper on my little tour guide experience for you, the viewer. But it looks pretty cool nonetheless. I will give it that. All right, let's go ahead and contact ATC. I know I'm going to regret this because they're going to be talking all over me here. Let's see, Miami Center seems like a good place to start. And we'll tell them we're requesting flight following.
Miami Center, Tiger 109er is type 7 miles southwest of Foxtrot Alpha 815,000 feet. Request flight following.
Tiger 109er, Miami Center. Squawk 0715.
Okay. 0715 it is.
Squawk 0715, Tiger 109er.
Yep, we're in.
Tiger 109er radar contact 4 miles southwest of Foxtrot Alpha 815,000 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
Oh, looks like we already passed it. Excellent.
Roger, Tiger 109er.
Okay, so we just passed Foxtrot Alpha, whatever it was. I forget already. My memory's going. And we are now heading to 07 Foxtrot Alpha. Now, that particular airport is really cool because it is nestled in the middle of a residential community and golf course. So you know these people have some money. But first we're passing Isla Morada, the Purple Island, so named because there is a wealth of bougainvillea plants that have that really vibrant magenta purple color when they are in bloom. Of course, we can't see any here because, well, Microsoft Flight Simulator, but you'll have to take my word for it. The airport that we are going to is located in Key Largo, which is, of course, the largest of these Florida keys, and the one that will actually link us to mainland Florida. Speaking of which, if you look over there, you will start to see mainland Florida. Folks, that is all Everglades. All of that. That is Gator country right there. Whew. And speaking of which, there's a pretty cool restaurant probably right about down there near the main drag where you can actually have fried gator tail. Trust me, it's good. All right, let's go back to the outside view before we go through the clouds again. And when we come back, we should be just about ready to buzz.
Homestead approach on 123.8.
Oh, let's contact Homestead first. Will do, thank you.
123.8 Tiger 109er.
Always got to mess with the program.
Homestead approach Tiger 109er 5,000 feet.
That's ironic because that's where we're headed.
Homestead approach altimeter 29.9 to continue as planned.
Will do. Now we'll go to the outside view. Okay, so we're closing in on 07 Foxtrot Alpha, otherwise known as Ocean Reef Club, and naturally I want to buzz it because it's me. So let's go ahead and turn off the autopilot once more, put the throttle to idle, and we'll hit the deck, and you can actually see the road there that will lead you to mainland Florida from Key Largo. So if you ever decide to go down to the Keys and instead of flying you want to drive, that's the road that you're going to take. Just remember, it goes all through the middle of nowhere. Now, our destination airport is going to be over there roughly, but we'll get to that in a moment here. For now, I want to show you the little neighborhood over by Ocean Reef, and we'll buzz past the airport. And we're over the top. 180. There we go. We're good to go. Let's pull the power back. We'll do kind of half of a Cuban 8 here because we're going to need to switch our direction really quick. All right. Our final stop is going to be Homestead, so we are already speaking with them, so that's convenient. We just need to head in the correct direction here. And we'll probably bring it below the cloud deck while we're at it. So let's go north here. There we go. And there you can see all the various farmlands that they've got in this portion of South Florida. Directly up ahead is a nuclear power plant. That is Turkey Point Nuclear Power Plant. And you should be able to see right behind it, provided the sun won't get in my eye, that is Homestead Air Reserve Base. So I chose that as our destination for two reasons. Number one, the last time that I was there was back in 1992, which, if those of you know your history, 1992 is when Hurricane Andrew hit South Florida. This whole area was devastated. It was shocking. It looked like a bomb dropped. It was just awful. So that was the last time I saw this area, and the company that my dad had back then was an electrical company. So I went down there with him and my brother to try and get everybody back online. And I remember seeing like F-16s flipped upside down because of the hurricane force winds and everything. It was just horrible. Absolutely terrible. But the second reason why I chose to come here is this was also the very first place that I saw an air show. And we're going way back here. We're talking like 1985, 1986, thereabouts. I want to say it's probably 85. But this was also the very first time that I saw an F-14 Tomcat live and in person. Was at that air base right there. So pretty cool stuff. I've got some definitely mixed memories with this airbase, but you know, it is what it is. There's only so much you can really do. All right, one thing I will need to do, however, let's go ahead and contact them and tell them we're coming in for a landing. So Homestead Air Reserve Base. We know that the winds are blowing out of the east, so we'll tell them we're requesting full stop landing.
Homestead Tower Tiger 109er is 3 miles east, 1,300 feet with kilo to land.
Tiger 109er, Homestead Tower. Altimeter 29er, decimal 9er, 2 wind 070 at 17. Make left downwind runway 06.
All right, we can do this.
Make left downwind runway 06 Tiger 109er.
All right, so we will continue on our left downwind here, and we'll basically do it like a carrier brake almost. And then we'll come in on runway 6, which is, of course, the far side down there. So let's start getting our trim up. Our speed is low enough that we can drop the gear and the flaps. Okay, flaps are at half. We'll drop flaps full once we're coming in on final. We'll do like an extended downwind here before we turn around and go on final. So let me just make sure that we've got everything in order here. Okay, we got 3 down and locked. Looking good. And flaps down to half. All right, now let's trim ourselves up a little bit here. So we want 17 units of AOA, which is a little high. It's actually higher than the Tomcat. However, that is what we need to bring this bird down. So we've got to trim her up a little bit here. And then we've got to bring our speed back down. There's a little bit of a crosswind, so that may or may not be a consideration here.
Tiger 109er, wind 070 at 17. Cleared to land runway 06.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Cleared to land runway 06 Tiger 109er.
All right, and we'll continue trimming ourselves up here. We're almost there. You can see we almost got the yellow donut. And let's go ahead and bring ourselves around on base to final, and we'll go back to the underside view just to make sure that we're properly lined up here. All right, looking good. We're a little fast, however, so let's see if we can bring our speed down a little. And that crosswind's starting to kick up. It's not much of a crosswind, but it is there, and I can feel it. All right, let's give her a little power here. And touchdown. Woo! Well, that was a carrier landing if I've ever done one. Let's get our speed brakes out real quick here. Now remember, we have no nose wheel steering until we get below 20 knots. So after we get under 100 knots, I can start hitting the brakes. And hopefully we'll make it to the next turnoff here. So there you go, folks. Welcome to Homestead Air Reserve Base. We've got F-15s and F-16s here.
Turn next taxiway.
Unfortunately, since this is a default scenery, I really couldn't find anything that has F-15s and F-16s, so you'll kind of have to imagine that they're here. Or I could put another call out to the community. Hey, somebody out there, can you make Homestead Air Reserve Base for us? That would be awesome. Thank you. All right, here is my turnoff. So let's see. I'm going to want to slow down a little bit more because we're still at 25.
Tiger 109er, exit runway when able.
I'm working on it, buddy. I am working on it. All right, let's go ahead and give it some more throttle here.
Tiger 109er, contact ground on 121.75.
Okay, will do. We're totally not doing that.
121.75 for Tiger 109er.
All right, there we go. So overall, I really have to say this aircraft is everything I was hoping it would be. Dino did an absolutely stupendous job getting this one completely redone for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, he did have help by way of Milviz. And they did a phenomenal job as well, helping him out getting this thing ready for prime time. And granted, even though it is Microsoft Flight Simulator, not everything is going to be fully featured and functional and all that. It's got enough in it that I think that fans of military aviation, and in particular the trainer aircraft such as this one, you're going to have a blast flying this. It is every bit as good as the Just Flight Hawk, which is definitely related to the Goshawk. So yeah, if you're thinking about picking up a bird like this and you want to do some shenanigans around the area, by all means, do so with my blessings. All right, so like I said, it's been a very long time since I have been to this particular airbase. I don't even remember where we are supposed to park. So I think what I will do is I'm just going to pull up over here. I don't want to taxi too far. This video's already been long enough already. And we're going to pull off to the left here and pretty much call this episode done. So with that having been said, I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this brief tour of the Florida Keys in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And just to remind you, the aircraft that I've been showing off today has been IndiaFoxtEcho's T-45C Goshawk. So the famous Dino Cattaneo strikes again, bringing us another beautiful aircraft. Now I do have another one of his aircraft that I will be showing off relatively soon. That is the Rutan Long EZ, so stay tuned for that. That one is definitely one of my favorites of his. All right, let's get our parking brakes on. Okay, Betty, shut it. And just to remind you, the airports that we've been looking at, we started out in Key West Naval Air Station, and the link for that will be popping up in the video description below, as well as in the pop-up comments right now. We also overflew Orbx Key West, as well as a Marathon. Now, I don't remember at the time of this recording if Marathon was payware or freeware, but either way, you should be seeing the pop-ups right now that'll tell you everything you need to know about those airports if you decide that you want to pick them up. All right, let's go ahead and get our power off, and we will consider this episode done. Get our comms off first. And since we know that once we get the comms off, it is of course going to pop up that funky pilot log screen that I really dislike. I'm going to go ahead and say my goodbyes to you from now. So thank you, as always, for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Shut it, Betty. Thank you. And if you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Of course, I will be back at some point in time in the very near future with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator goodness. Until then, I sincerely hope that everyone stays safe, and I hope that you all have an absolutely incredible evening. Ciao!